So what is power, really? Have you ever thought about it? Turns out, one of the most profound explorations of that very idea doesn't come from some dusty old philosophy book. Nope. It comes from a beloved cartoon about a robotic cat from the future. A cat who holds the key to solving, well, every single problem and also creating absolute world-ending chaos.
I mean, really think about that for a second. That person who cut you off in traffic? Poof. Gone. That massive project deadline you're dreading? Vanished. What would you actually do with that kind of absolute, unchecked power? And would it really make your life better?
Well, this wild cautionary tale comes from the Japanese classic Doraemon. It's all about a kid named Nobita who gets these incredible magical gadgets to solve his everyday problems. But as we're about to see, these little tools of convenience, they're actually a super powerful look into desire, chaos, and the hidden wisdom of our perfectly imperfect world.
Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we need a framework. These gadgets aren't just fun little toys. They represent these immense, world-altering capabilities. We're going to break it all down using a simple but really powerful idea called the BOX framework.
It works just like this. First, you've got your capital. That's the tool, the resource. In this case, one of Doraemon's amazing gadgets. Second, that capital gives you power, the ability to do something you couldn't do before. And third, and this is the crucial part, you have a belief, your worldview, your gut assumption about how things work. And that's what guides how you use that power. When those three things get out of whack, well, that's where all the trouble begins.
Let's start with what happens when you aim this kind of absolute power at your personal relationships. This is where we see the most immediate and, honestly, the most painful consequences of a flawed belief system.
In one really famous story, Nobita gets something called the dictator switch. The capital is the switch itself. The power? The ability to make anyone he finds annoying just vanish. His belief? That a world without bullies, without his mom nagging him, would be totally peaceful and perfect. So he starts pushing the button. His friends disappear. His parents disappear. Pretty soon, everyone disappears.
And this just nails the outcome perfectly. He got exactly what his belief was aiming for, a world with nobody around to bother him. But the reality isn't peace. It's this crushing, terrifying loneliness. He realizes his whole belief system was just catastrophically wrong. He didn't actually want people gone. He just wanted a little bit of space.
But here's the thing. Power doesn't even have to touch the outside world to be destructive. Take the lying mirror. This gadget is capital that gives you the power of pure self-delusion. It looks at Nobita and tells him he's a handsome genius, and that directly attacks his core belief about his own self-worth.
And the result is a total social meltdown. He starts believing he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, so he treats his friends with total contempt. He just dismisses his mom's concerns. He becomes this arrogant, completely unlikable person who's totally addicted to the mirror's fake praise. So the power to inflate his own ego, it ends up destroying every real relationship he has.
Okay, so we've seen the damage on a personal level. But what happens when the power is so immense, it can literally change the rules of reality itself? This is where a few personal mistakes escalate into complete and total societal breakdown.
Right, so now we have the inverted arrow. You shoot it at something and it reverses its properties. At first, it's just fun. Nobita shoots it at the sun to cool down the day. He shoots it at his bully, Jian, to make himself the strong one. But then, things spiral out of control. Fire is now cold. The water you try to drink becomes solid in your mouth. The basic physical laws that we all rely on just stop existing.
And that chaos immediately spills over into our social rules. I mean, if strong becomes weak, now the police are running away from robbers. With roles totally reversed, dogs start treating their owners like pets. Parents become terrified of their own children. The entire structure of society just disintegrates into total anarchy because the fundamental, unspoken rules that govern our lives have been flipped completely upside down. And this whole theme of unintended consequences is just perfected with the what-if phone booth. This gadget lets Nobita create any world he can possibly imagine. So what does he wish for? A world with no money. Sounds great, right? Except, nobody wants to work anymore, and society just grinds to a halt. He wishes America was right next to Japan for convenience, but that just means his bully can now torment kids on an international scale. Every single perfect world he creates reveals some hidden disastrous cost.
So, what's the point of all this chaos? After exploring the highest peaks of absolute power, from erasing people to literally rewriting reality, every single one of these stories leads back to the same profound conclusion. You start to see a clear pattern here. It always starts with Nobita feeling powerless. Then he gets a gadget, which gives him absolute power. He uses it based on a really simple, flawed belief, and that unleashes complete chaos. And in that chaos, he's forced to confront why his belief was wrong in the first place. And every single time, the story ends with him desperately wishing for things to just go back to the way they were. The journey is always from the highest peak of power all the way back to the simple balance of ordinary life.
So, here's the real secret, the crucial point. Doraemon's secret formula isn't about how to get more power. It's a lesson in appreciating the world you already have. The true wisdom is in finding balance in our messy, imperfect, ordinary world. There's this beautiful Thai word for this, saman, which captures this idea of the ordinary, not as something that's lacking, but as a state of grace.
And that leaves us with one last thought to take away. Think about the rules and the limits in your own life, the things that frustrate you, the things you wish you could change with the push of a button. Which of those imperfections might actually be creating a necessary invisible balance that you'd miss terribly if it were suddenly gone?